Live.
It is.
And
We are live. We are live.
Got it.
And
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Everyday Riches Show. Oh, yeah, okay, and here we are, and it's telling us that recording is in progress. So we just love technology because we have been known to come on and not being recording. So anyways, so we're excited. Number one, we're excited to be here ourselves, and we're excited to have you here. And my name is Barbara Ellison, and I am your personality pro, because personality drives reality. And for myself, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And the thing is, we all want and deserve to live happy, healthy, financially free, abundant lives. So it is just so important to have influence and to have impact, but to also earn income, because we all have bills to pay. So I work with speakers and presenters and entrepreneurs who want to attract and engage more of their audiences. And I do that through personality science so that they can just, convert more and earn more income. So that's what I do, and I love it. It's fun. So Jason, what do you do?
I am Jason Tracy, and I am founder of Roar Consulting. And I was sitting it occurred to me the other day. I work with people on sales and leadership, and you guys know that from the small business. But the method to my madness, I notice, is that helping people reframe the stories they tell themselves to create their new realities and build confidence, and then taking that same story and utilizing that to attract the people that you want in your life, whether it's collaborations and partnerships like what we have and what we're going to talk, some of what I'm sure we'll talk about today with the Entrepreneurs Justice League, or bringing new clients, building just your group, your people, and attracting them with that same story. And so it's kind of cool when you think about it, but I was really like, how am I doing this? What's going on? And then I realized it hit me. So that's what we're doing over here.
So I'm so excited. Jason and I, we are in the Entrepreneurs Justice League, which you're going to be hearing lots about. And one of our fellow members is Sherry Knight. And so one of the things that Jason and I talked about was that we are going to feature our fellow Justice League, people that are in our group, that who all have businesses that we all complement, that we can collaborate with, because we all have very different markets, very different businesses, but we're all on the same mission to make businesses profitable and to make them authentic, I think would be the right word, because there are so many companies out there that are just the cutthroat competition.
Oh yeah.
Nah. We don't want that. We want just the collaboration and the connection and the authentically helping each other. So anyway, so I am so proud that Sherry Knight is here. So Sherry, you get to introduce yourself and tell us about you.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here. I'm Sherry Knight. I am the president and CEO of Dimension 11, and we work with small to medium-sized businesses. They come to us because we help them with their people, their performance, and their profits, because we know that without the people and the performance, the profits are not going to come. And so we spend our time there. And of course, like you, there are many times that we're talking to people and we see the eyes light up, and it's because they know what we're saying, but perhaps they haven't had that opportunity to implement, or they did implement and then forgot about it, and we need to start over. There's various kinds of things that happen in our lives and in our business lives that just make us go, oh, I need to get back on that saddle, back on the bike, whatever it happens to be, and get out there and get going again. And that's the fun of it, right? That's the fun when we see those lights go on in people's eyes and they go, I got it. And that makes
that light bulb moment when they realize that they can do it.
Exactly. We all like to work ourselves out of our job.
That's a good way of putting it.
Well, that's why we consult, right? We don't want them to be with us forever. We just want them to be with us until they get it, and they can go ahead and do things on their own. That's what it's all about.
Right. And and the thing is, I think that what I really love about all of us do is that we are working with people to be the best that they can be.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's the ripple effect.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
When
In fact,
you see that, oh, that, like somebody met with me, and well, I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago, Jason interviewed a gal on his podcast. Her name was Nina Davis.
Yeah.
I watched his podcast and went, this girl is somebody that I need to interview.
and you are.
So I did an interview with her, a pre-interview and I interviewed her today. She's going to be going out next week on my Barbara and Friends on a Mission show.
Perfect.
Because
And I have a story about this too. This is incredible. So
okay, so you're right. And so it's the synergy.
the synergy.
The synergy that we are all coming together in a group. That I live near Chicago. Jason lives in Michigan. So
Sherry, where are you coming from?
Sherry, tell us where you're from.
Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. Yay. A.
Hey, I used to live in the UP, so we have some probably similar dialects sometimes.
Right.
Although the other day I was talking to a gal and now I don't remember what I said. And she said, oh, Barb, you know what? I know you're Canadian, but I just heard the Canadian.
Mhm.
And we laughed. And I went, really? She said, oh, yeah. I can't, and now I don't remember what I said, but some word that was just, she said, oh, there I heard your Canadian accent.
We usually get it for cow and about, and what's the third one?
Out and about.
Yeah, out and about. Yes.
The out and about.
How do you say process?
We say
Process.
yes.
I love it. And I've always said every time I hear a Canadian say process, I'm like, I would rather say it that way, but it just takes relearning it and re-saying it. But I think that makes so much more sense. And I love it when I hear you talk and say that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny. But look at that. Here's the three of us all in this League of Justice that happened because all of us know Regina Bergman.
Yeah.
Right.
And because we were all on her podcast. Pursuing Profits with Principle, a great podcast.
We spend a lot of time on our show talking and drawing the parallels in talking about the collaborations and talking about being open-minded to meeting new people and especially people that do similar things to what you do. And you look within our group, there are people that do kind of similar things within the group, but we all have that little special thing that makes us different. And you talked about interviewing Nina, and what really aligns with that, and it makes me think of this as soon as you start talking about it, is when Nina was on my podcast, she was introduced to me by one of my clients that had met her at a networking meeting, and he knows that I like to network and collaborate with other coaches. And so he said he met Nina. Nina just moved to Michigan from Atlanta and said, you need to meet Jason. So he connected us. In our conversation, she was telling me that she connected with one other coach in Michigan. I was the only other one in Michigan. And so she connected with these two coaches, me and this other guy. And when she met with the other guy was in a scarcity mindset. And he was doing the kind of belittling her and talking about, these are all the things, glorious and wondrous things that I've done. And every time Nina would say something, he one-upped her. And it was very obvious that they weren't going to have a relationship, very closed-minded. Like everything that she said, he tried to belittle what she was saying and emphasize who he is. And then there's me that's like, oh, Nina, so awesome. Welcome to Michigan. Let's have a conversation. What is it that you're doing? That's incredible. Let me have you on my podcast. I'd love to help you tell your story and get it out there. And how impactful that is, because then you have Nina on your show. And then who sees Nina from that? And how that just, I feel so much more empowered, though, to have that where we have these people where, like you introduced me to Regina, and then Regina and I have a conversation that spurs all of us coming together in this group, which is incredible.
Yeah, exactly. One of my things is that, there are 7 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
You can't service them all.
Yep.
Let's collaborate so that we can accumulate more of them within our groups.
It's interesting you say that, because many, many years ago, having been a speaker and spoken all over the world, and I work with speakers to help them craft their talk and all those kinds of areas, a gal came to me. She wanted to get into speaking. And so I sat down and spent an hour or so with her and we chatted, etc. And the next day I got a phone call from her and it was, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so sorry. I had no idea that I shouldn't have called you and asked for any of the help that you could give me. And I said, where's this coming from? And she said, well, I was speaking to such and such a person. And this particular individual told me that because I'm a speaker, I'm her competition and she should not be talking to me. And I'm thinking, you know, the world is this big. It's a pie and the pie just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We do not have to worry about competition. We just have to find our own niche and go after that niche.
Absolutely.
That's simple.
And find our own voice, because you and I could be in exactly the same niche.
Yes.
Exactly. All three of us could be in exactly the same niche, but all three of us talk differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
literally and figuratively.
You know, it's like, come on, people, we all talk differently.
Let me ask you, Sherry, like being receptive and being open to coaches, have you ever had a relationship you've had with another speaker get you a speaking gig or get you an opportunity?
Oh, yeah. You know, it's that element about, you know, oh my gosh, I can't make this event. Something's happened. Can you fill in for me? So those kinds of things happen commonly within the speaking network group. And there's the other element about where people go, not my topic, phone so-and-so. And we do that back and forth because that's life. We don't talk about everything. We'd like to, but the reality is it wouldn't come across well because it's not, as Barbara says, it's not my niche. And so therefore I need to, as my mother would say, I need to stick with my knitting and let somebody else do their knitting. So, yeah. Very interesting in terms of that. And it's a different ball game though, because we're doing, I guess I would call it a service element. And my husband, my partner in life and in business, he's from the bottling industry. He was the head of here in Saskatchewan of Coca-Cola. And he said to me when he saw how I did things, he said, we would never do that in the Coke business. He said, we would try to undercut Pepsi every time we had a chance, etc. So it is a different ball game in certain industries. But I am sure that had the Coca-Cola plant blowing up, I bet you Pepsi would have been at the door saying, how can we help? You know, if it gets that dire, I think everybody pitches in to help.
Yeah.
Right. So Jason, I have a question for you.
What's that?
When you hear this is a new thing that I'm working on. So Sherry's already heard this. So something that I'm working on. When you hear the word senior, what does that mean to you? What comes to mind when you hear the word senior?
When I hear the word senior, I think of like discount coffee at McDonald's.
Okay, so what kind of a person is a senior?
Somebody that gets up at 5 a.m. to drink coffee at McDonald's.
Okay, so what are their attributes? What are when you become a senior, how do you see yourself wanting to be?
Ooh.
If that's too many years in the future for him.
Yeah, well, I'm getting white hair. I don't know if you can see. I see myself, you know, I see a senior as somebody that retires and goes to Florida, that kind of lives the vacation life, that has a ton of knowledge, that kind of like, I see a senior a lot of times. Isn't it funny how in school, like when we were younger, we're forced to learn or we're like made to go do these things. And then I see like seniors or people as they get older, they more like free learn. They go out and they watch like the Discovery Channel, or they, you know, like they read books. They just like maybe have more time to be receptive to what's going on around them. Right.
Exactly. One of the things on Sunday, I was driving down from a friend of mine's and it was like an instant download that I am a senior. I'm 71. So I'm a senior, but I am a successful, energetic, no nonsense, inspired, absolutely outrageous rebel seeking my next adventure.
Yeah.
That's how I want to be. That's how I am. And yet I see so many seniors around me who are bent over. They're saying, well, I can't do that because I'm 65. Well, I can't do that. I can't do that. Well,
Yeah.
I'm out to change this. So that's why I was asking the questions, because that's going to be how I'm going to approach people that are younger than me, that are not yet seniors.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does it mean for you to be a senior? And when they say, well, okay, well, what are you doing? And if it's positive, great. What are you doing to get to there? But if it's negative, well, oh, I think of my grandmother who's bent over, sitting at home doing nothing. Okay, then what are you doing now to prevent that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to do it as a survey. What do you think?
That's awesome. That's super cool. And as you say that, I think I probably have the like my explanation of seniors, and I kind of joked around about the McDonald's thing, but my grandma,
but that's
my grandma
exactly
was
what
like,
happens.
it's exactly what happens. But like my grandma was like always was vibrant, full of energy. Like she was like in a bowling league until she was 85, and like she was always looked so much younger than what I would expect like normal other people's grandmas to look like. And so I grew up with that vibrancy, and it was always inspiring. So that's what I think of. I think of my grandma. She'd get up early, she'd make coffee, like, and I always inspired to be like that.
Right. And I figure, I look at Sherry. Look at the things that she's doing. We're seniors.
Sherry's like, hold on now.
Oh, true. You two are spring chickens. But I look at this because I do a lot of work with people who are older and have come out of a job and trying to figure out where they go from there. And sometimes they say, well, I'm just going to retire. I'm just going to do nothing. And I'm going, okay, the average life expectancy of somebody who retires is 2 years. That's the average. I don't care whether you retire at 50 or you retire at 80. That's the average. And so you need to be very conscious about what, as Barbara says, what's the next step? And seniors have so much wisdom. It's interesting. I just had a chap the other day phone me and go, I need to hire somebody to be my Girl Friday. And that person has to do everything. They have to be able to see what's coming and think about what they could do, etc. I don't want to babysit them. And so he said, and I want to pay them X number of dollars. I said, you're not going to get it. You're looking for a seasoned individual, somebody who has the wisdom that can go, oh, I know what's going to happen after this, and put those things in place so that doesn't happen if it's a negative, or build on it if it's a positive. But unfortunately, and if I look back to my own life, when I was 20, I didn't have the same wisdom that I have today. I had to go through all of those challenges that made me learn. And I say challenges because all the good things that happen in life, we don't learn a damn thing. All we do is enjoy. Oh, isn't this wonderful? Sure it is. It is wonderful. It's those other things, though, that cause us to go, wow, did I ever learn a lesson there? And we need to be conscious of that. And going forward as a senior, what is it that you want to contribute to your life and to those around you now? Not sitting up until 3 a.m. watching the boob tube and then not getting up until 1 p.m. I mean, what a waste of life. My opinion only.
Yeah.
And and part of living, it's not just a life. And like, I have to admit, I have a friend of mine right now. I swear she's already dead. Her body just hasn't gotten the message yet. All she does is complain about what's wrong, how she can't do anything.
But that has another element to it too, Barbara,
Right.
and that's the impact on you. You have to be really steeled in yourself before you go and see her or phone her, so that you can keep yourself going, because that just brings you down.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one of the things that I'm really working on. And then when God gave me this total download, that I am a successful, senior, it's like, that's what I have to bring to the table to people that are like, hey, I'm a baby boomer, from 1946 to 1964. Well, there's a whole part, 15 years behind me that are now coming up to retirement.
Mhm.
I want to work with them to get them so that they become the retirees that are not retiring from, but going to their next adventure.
It's important, really important to think about it. And the average life expectancy, I don't know what it is in the US, but in Canada, the average life expectancy is 78 for a male right now and 82 for a female.
Right.
Well, ever since I've been a little kid, I've known, I assume God hasn't sent me the message, I don't know, but I've known that I'll live to be 100.
Yes. My dad was 102.
Yeah, I had a conversation with my husband not too long ago, and he said, you need to change that, Sherry. I went, why? And he said, because living to 100 doesn't mean you'll live past the 100. I went, oh, good point. Because the average body, Sweden just did a study not too long ago, the average body is built to 150 years now. And we used to say 125 to 140, but they've done this new study that just came out, I think, last year. And they said, no, 150. So maybe I'll make 150. Who knows? But it's that mental element that Barbara's talking about that makes and allows us to be healthy and to keep going and to keep giving. And I don't care if you choose to retire and start a business. I think that's amazing. I love it. But some people would prefer to volunteer, etc. I don't care. Just do something. You know, we are so much better today. I mean, when I look back at my grandparents at 55,
they were old.
They were old at 55.
Yeah.
And that's different today. We talk about your 85-year-old grandmother, like, wow, that's amazing. And that's wonderful.
Well, that's like, I look at the other day, we were talking, my dad and his friend, they drove to work together for 30 years.
Oh.
1 week Mo drove, 1 week my dad drove, because then the wives got to swap off the cars. And they retired on the same day.
Wow.
6 months after they retired, Mo died.
Yeah.
He just dropped dead. My dad lived to be 102. And people have asked me when I said that, well, what did your dad do? I said, well, part of it was my mom. She looked at my dad and said, I want a laundry room with fancy shelves. I want a brand new washer and dryer, and I want a nice laundry room that's decorated and the whole 9 yards. And he went, oh, okay. And he was kind of a handy guy. He was an electrician by trade. So that was an easy thing for him. But then she started renting him out. And he would go and do odd jobs for people.
That's awesome.
But she kept him busy.
Yeah. We need a purpose. We need purpose.
We need a purpose.
We do.
Yep.
It's interesting. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just last week, there was an item that came across our news, and there were two cousins that both had retired, and COVID, of course, so very, very insular in terms of who we can talk to. And they were from Saskatchewan here, and they happened to be going through old photos. And one of the photos they came across was one where their grandfather, they had a same grandfather, their grandfather had taken I'll say horse and carriage, but a buggy, and actually drove four horses to Manitoba, and I can't remember the place, but province next door, and did that because they wanted to. And so these young guys, they decided, well, if he could do it, so could we. So they spent the entire year getting ready for this and planning and organizing, etc. And they had a ball and drove this 4-horse, I'll say buggy, I don't know what you call them, but everything was organized. They had a porta potty within the buggy so that they didn't have to stop and go behind a tree or anything like that, like their grandfather did. They were good cooks. They had their little campfire stove and all kinds of things. But what a wonderful way to look at your retirement, just like your grandfather. You know, it's so, or your father, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's amazing. People need to do these things. And I bet for these two guys, that year of planning was amazing, I'll bet.
And probably the planning sometimes can be better than the event.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it's the expectation, the planning, the fun of collaborating. Oh, what about this? Oh, what about that? Oh, what about this?
Yeah.
Putting the ideas together to stimulate your brain.
Mhm.
Actually, I get on my soapbox of exercise your brain every day.
Well, it's mindset, right?
It's
You know,
mindset.
when I work with employers or I work with entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter who I work with. The number one thing we have to work on is the brain. That's the number one, because it will stop you from doing what you want or need to do to be able to be successful in your business, in your life, in your marriage. I don't care what it is. It's the same. I always say that the reason we marry an individual is the same reason we divorce them, because what we thought was really enticing and exciting, etc., later we go, oh my God, that just nuts. Because if you're like my husband, you go overboard on it. And there are moments when I say to him, enough. But it's that aspect that what we love can be too much. And if you're in business, what you love is your business. So if you're going to spend 18 hours a day there, I'm sorry, your marriage isn't going to last long. Your kids aren't going to be looking up to you. So let's look at all of these things and see in life, what do we need to do?
Such balance. There's too much of anything is bad. If we drink water is the most natural thing that we can drink or consume, but if we drink too much of it, we will die.
Yes, and people have.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah.
And isn't it sad that so many people get caught up in the, well, I can't do that. Or one of the things that I am noticing with people is that, well, I already know that. When you give them a suggestion, well, I already know that.
I tried that once, didn't work. It was 30 years ago, but didn't work.
And all of a sudden they can't figure out why their life isn't working.
But to be fair, Barbara,
yeah,
it's not just everybody else.
No,
because I get,
it starts with us.
You bet. There are things that go on and I go, oh my God, I can't handle this. I can't do this. And then I go, you know better, Sherry. Right. And I have to bring myself back out of it. I have to give myself a talking to. I have to change my behavior, my thought process, all of those actions. So yeah, it's not everybody else. It's us too.
Oh, exactly. I think I came on one day and I said, okay, Jason, well, I had to have a come to Jesus moment with myself today.
Yeah. We all do. Absolutely. Do you ever have a moment when you're working with a client and then you're like, why am I not doing this?
Oh, sometimes, you bet.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, it's like the, what do they say? The shoemaker's children go barefoot kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And we teach these things and then we go, oh, you know, I used to do that and I don't do it anymore. Or I teach that, I've never done it, but I should start. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I have done absolutely the same thing. That one day, and I was just frustrated with technology. And I could feel myself getting more and more, you know, and then it was like, okay, Barbara, if you were one of your clients and they came to you saying this, what would you be telling them?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I got this really powerful advice from my friend Julie Palmer a few months ago, and I was writing my bio, or I had to send her my bio for a speaking event, and I'm like, I struggle so hard writing my bio. I can help all my clients, no problem. They send me a piece of their writing, and I can rewrite it. And she put it in such perspective. She's like, it sounds like you need to hire yourself, not you need to write your bio, but you need to hire yourself to help you write your bio. And I looked at it like, I've kind of flipped my perspective. I look at it as, okay, I got this bunch of writing for my client. Now, how would I write it and spin it? And it was the best I ever felt about my bio.
Wonderful. Good for you. That's amazing.
That's a great way of looking at it. And that's the thing, why it's so important for people like us and for everybody to get their message out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Because what Jason just said is like, oh, right. When the next time I have to write my bio, I might have to look at that.
But one of the, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say one of the things, Barbara, you're talking about working with seniors. Mm-hmm. Seniors all have not a story, a dozen stories or 2 dozen or 3 dozen.
Right.
And so maybe you need to be interviewing them so they can get their story out.
Right.
Oh my God, Barbara,
Exactly.
we just came up with a genius revenue generation like lead magnet for you.
Ah,
Start
All right.
interviewing and podcasting
Yeah.
seniors
And
that are
seniors.
transitioning, people
Yeah.
that are going through retirement or they're close to the retirement stage, and start getting them to think about, where are you going? What are you
Where do you
doing?
wanna
Who are
be?
you? Who are you?
that's your next
Which is your
podcast.
whole thing. Who are you?
Yeah. You know, who, and one of the things that I talk about quite frequently with people is, who are you within what you do?
Mhm.
And you wouldn't believe how many people, when I ask them that, they have no idea.
Well, and I
Like,
often get
and they'll
this.
look at me like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Who are you within what you do?
And I often ask the question, you know, what is it? You're blah, blah, blah. And they go, well, I don't know. And I go, well, if you did know, what would the answer be? And that makes them come back with an answer.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Interesting. If they do know.
Yeah, because they do know.
Yeah, they do know. They just don't have it on the top of their head. They have to dig a little deeper for it.
I
Right.
love that repositioning, though. I don't know if I've ever heard it that way. If you did know, what would it be?
I'm going to use that.
I am too. I'm writing it down for sure.
Good show. Good show. And I cut you off there, Jason. You were going to say something before I started.
Oh, what I was gonna say, because I know what you were saying. You're like, you had said, you know, we're all human, you know, and so not tearing down anybody. But I think there's a big differentiator in between successful or unsuccessful people, or people that are content and happy with their lives, or versus people that are feel like they're failures, right? That is, Barbara was talking about the people that are, I know, I've done that, I've tried that, it didn't work, or just the people that, especially, that I always say, I know, and they're not truly listening. They're not open, they're not coachable, they're not receptive, they don't understand that they're wrong. A lot of these people think they're doing it right, or they're just, you know, they're not able to go out and ask for help, or they're, you know, for some reason or another. Most of them are just got their blinders on. What we're talking about, I think, big differentiator between the successful people is that we know we're not perfect. We understand that we can learn from anybody, whether it's a failure that we're learning from, or something that we can see that people are doing right. What if we kept, you know, seeing the things that they're successful at, or catching ourselves because we're working with a client and saying, oh my God, I used to do this all the time, and now I don't do it anymore. To be able to be self-reflective like that, I think, is the biggest component that is the differentiator between whether you're happy with your life and you're unhappy with your life.
You know, that's so true, Jason. And it just reminded me of something that occurred actually this morning with a client. And he doesn't want to do the training anymore. He wants to run the business, but he doesn't want to train the staff anymore. And it's interesting because he's putting this out to somebody else to do now. And just my opinion only, but from my experience, they will not be trained the way he wants them to be trained.
Right.
Because somebody else will do it differently. If you want it done a certain way, then you have to do those things yourself. And that's what you're saying, is we all need to look at how can we do it for us, as opposed to what somebody else is doing. Yeah. Different background, different perspectives, different bank as personality from that perspective that Barbara talks about. I mean, all those things make each and every one of us unique in this 7.14 billion people that are on the face of the earth right now. So yeah, it's important. That's a really good point. Thank you. Yeah.
Sure. Just an observation, because I think, you know, we're all talking about this one topic, and it just kind of light bulb moment that's that differentiator.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is that it can be when people are open to it.
Yeah.
Open to the awareness of it.
And that openness, I don't know how we change from being open to not open. I think that's a challenge you'll have with some seniors, because sometimes we get to that age where, well, thank you very much, but you know, I did that and I did it right and whatever. And so that could be, and yet I see that same kind of attitude in young people as well.
Oh,
Young people who don't want to spend time with seniors because what could they possibly know? And yet you get those other young people who go, I want to spend time with seniors. I know, interesting, we had one of our employees was from Pakistan. And we, at that time, we're trying to figure out what would be best for my mom. And she decided that she would come and live with us. And now she lived in a city 8 hours away. So she was going to come live with us. That was fine. We had everything organized. We had a suite built for her. It was almost finished. The only thing that needed to be done was the bathtub put in. Everything else was organized. And then she phoned and said, well, I don't want to live with you. I just want to live close to you. I went, okay. So then we went and we got an apartment, which would be about a half a block from us. So it was wonderful. We had it all paid for. Everything was done. All she had to do was come. And then we get another phone call. It was, I'm not coming. I'm needed here in Calgary, which is where she was living. I'm needed here. So I'm going to stay here and I'm going to help your sister out with her family, etc. I went, okay, fine. But you know, that aspect of that adventure, as you talk about, Barbara, you know, going to move and going to have new people and all those things around me, which was wonderful. And then and I'm not quite sure what really transpired, but something did. And whether the sister was the truth or whether there was something else, but that was the easy way out, I don't know. But we do, we change our minds, and that's okay.
Right.
We can go on to do something, and we can change our mind tomorrow because now we have new information.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
You know, like, as I said, I call them instant downloads of that. Oh, that's what I need to do. And so often I find, so people, they'll say, well, I know I should be doing that. Well, then what's stopping you? What's stopping you?
My instant download as soon as you said that about working and looking for people that are coming near retirement is that the people that you're looking for, the people that are coming near retirement, that have feel like they've compromised their lives for other people, other things, whether it's the job, the boss, the husband, the wife, the kids, they've compromised their life and they don't know who they are truly.
Right.
And they're ready to go on that journey to live life for themselves and not for others.
Right. You know, and that's what happened to me after David passed away. I did not expect to be a widow at 60. But when I woke up from my widow's fog, that was the moment I said, okay, I cannot go on like this another moment. But what do I do? And I had no idea. No idea what to do. The only thing I knew was I knew what I didn't want. But then it was the process of finding out what I did want. And so one of the things that I suggest to people now is write down what you want. Sit quietly. Get in touch with, what do you want? What are you good? What are you good at? You know, what are you doing now that you would like to continue, but in a different capacity?
it's important. And Barbara, you know that I do vision board workshops for people. And I always explain to them that I did my very first vision board myself, which was an 8.5 by 11 piece of white paper. That was it. And I had been alone for 7.5 years, and I decided it was time to share my life with somebody. So I drew a stick man, because that's my artistic integrity. And I wrote all the characteristics around the stick man, folded it up, put it away. And within 6 months, my husband walked into my life. And the interesting part is we've now been married coming on 29 years. And I never, ever found that piece of paper. Never.
What?
It's just weird. It's gone, but I can mentally go tick, 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 all the things that are important. So you're right, Barbara, write it down. It's really important to get the hand and the brain going together.
Okay, and talk about when you and your husband got married and what you brought to the marriage.
Oh, you like that one, don't you?
I can't wait to hear it.
Well, my husband was raising his 5 children. And so when we got married, he brought 5 children to the marriage and I brought 2 cats. And so this depends on the day when we think who got the better deal. So it's fun. The kids are gone now. The cats, actually, those cats are gone. We have another cat now, but yeah, things have changed a bit.
I was gonna say, if those cats are still around 29 years later, they have the same mentality you do. They're
Yeah.
living to 150.
Well, one lived to 20, so yeah.
Dang.
Right.
Mhm.
But isn't that a great way to look at a relationship? You know, I'm sure it hasn't been all, you know, a bed of roses, can't talk, roses, you know, raising 5 children.
Mhm. It was interesting at times.
But interesting.
Yes. And in fact, the kids have said, you use that word when it means I don't think so. So yeah. And the baby was just becoming a teenager. So yeah, it was interesting.
Oh, okay. You were going through the fun
Yep.
stages.
Yeah. Crazy
Oh.
times. But you know, life is what I was going to say, life is what you make it. And that's not true. Life is what you expect it to be. Because
Yes.
bad things happen to everybody.
Right.
And it depends on how you look at it and what you get out of that negative experience and where you go from there. I mean, I've been up, down, sideways, you name it, I've experienced it. The divorces, the deaths, the bankruptcies, the people saying, I don't want to work with you, you're no good. You name it. We've all had those kinds of negative experiences in our lives, and it's okay. We just have to keep remembering we're going to get through this. We just
Right.
have to keep remembering, what am I learning from this that's going to be beneficial later?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Right. You know, because sometimes you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's
But
right.
one of the things that on one of my trainings this morning, he talked about that if you have a wound, okay, maybe now's not the time to talk about it publicly. Do it privately. But once you have the scar
Yeah.
from whatever it was that happened, that's when you have to get yourself out there, because you now have the scar. It has healed and you can talk about it to somebody who still has the wound.
Mhm.
That's a really good way to put it, Barbara, because when you're going through it,
Yeah.
the emotion is so intense that
Yeah.
you couldn't help anybody at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the way you put that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And yeah, I heard that. And I've heard it before,
Ah,
but not in those exact words.
mhm.
Was that, you know, like that, so that when you have the scar, you can help the person who still has the wound.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I just went, oh, exactly. Exactly. Like when I woke up from when David died and didn't know who I was, had no clue, from all the labels that I had put on myself of being a wife and a mother and then divorced. So a failure, but then being a wife again, and then being a grandmother, and then being a widow, and then being bankrupt.
Mhm.
All of those labels.
Yeah.
But who was I within all those things? Because it's all of those things that made me who I am now.
You got it. Mhm.
Yeah.
So much wisdom because of all the things that you've been through.
Right. And you know, you see some of the young people that they're just going willy-nilly through life and not thinking about the future.
Yeah.
But did we either? No. I look back on some of the things that I did as a teenager and young adult and go, oh, brother, there, but for the grace of God.
Yeah. The
Yes,
only
but-
difference is it's on recording now. They haven't recorded now.
That's true. And the difference is that you know what your kids are going to do before they do it, because
Right.
you did it too.
We remind our son all the time that we were kids too. Like we understand, like we know what questions to ask, because
Yep.
like if somebody came, if we came to our parents and said this is what we were doing. So
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. What a funny thing. One day, my mom and my uncle were having a bit of a battle. And I can't remember exactly what my mom said to him, but it was just really kind of unkind and because they were at each other. And I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, you shouldn't talk to Uncle Fred like that. She turned around and looked at me and she said, and what did you say to your sister this morning?
Yeah.
And it's like, because, you know, when you're young, when you're a kid, I didn't make the connection that my mom and my uncle, brother and sister, had all the same rivalry, all the same fights that my sisters and I had.
Yeah.
I mean, one time we fought so bad, my mom threatened to run away on us. And one time she did.
And one time she did.
Oh, it was, and she kept threatening that she was going to run away. And so this one Sunday we had one of our battles, the four of us, and we were teenagers. So we just all took off and did our own thing. Well, we came back, of course, expecting Sunday dinner.
Ooh.
And we walked into an empty house. Gee, where's Mom? Well, so like 6 o'clock comes and no Mom. So now we're starting to say, ooh, yike. Has she run away? So we called all our aunts and all our uncles and gee, have you seen our mom? Yet no. So we're starting to get frantic.
I love it.
Oh, brother, girls, Mom has literally run away on us. Well, then I back in the day, we wore uniforms to school. I said, well, I've got to go up and iron a blouse, and then we've got to figure out what we're going to do. We have to now call people and say we've lost our mom. And so I went upstairs and there was a little note pinned to the ironing board. Dear girls, have gone to Vancouver with your father. I'll be back Thursday. The refrigerator is empty.
Love it.
And my mom, whenever she went on a business trip with my dad, she would stock up and all we would have to do is take a container out of the refrigerator, put it in the oven, and we had dinner. We had to make, and my mom made our lunches every day. She made 4 different lunches every day because that's what good moms did. And we were there. We had to make our own lunches. We had to do laundry and we had to cook. Oh, when she got home on Thursday, we didn't fight for, and then all she would do once in a while when we would start in, really, girls? Yes, Mom, we're fine.
No Vancouver trip.
She ran away on us. And it was just the funniest thing because we knew my dad had gone to Vancouver for a business trip. But mom was just never spontaneously during the summer she would do it, but not during the school year. But she took off and left. And it was the best thing she could have done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it taught us a lesson.
There you go, Jason. Ideas for you.
Ideas. I only have one, so I don't have the sibling problem. But I know it very well. My brother was 5 years younger than me, and we, for a long time we argued. My mom did this thing that I think I was a really vindictive kid because she used to say just ignore him, just pretend he doesn't even exist, pretend he's not there. And so I'd run him over in the grocery store, and my mom would yell at me, and I'd be like, "What do you mean? There's no one here. I don't see anybody. There's nobody here. They don't exist."
Oh dear. Oh, well, I have a similar situation to you. My sister's 12 years younger than I am.
Okay.
And so basically, we're both single children. Because there was very little time together. But I really had a hard time with my 5 kids because I never had a fight with my sister. Never. Not to this day have we ever had a fight.
Yeah.
And I'm going why would you fight? You're siblings. You're here to care about each other and help each other and love each other. And didn't always work that way.
Because it's by the time your sister's 12, so she's more taking care of you. She's excited to have a baby. You're not taking away from her attention. In fact, you probably relieved your parents from paying attention to what she was doing.
Yep.
It's just she didn't want, so that's I have younger sister. I was 17 when she was born, and it was exactly that same.
Wow.
So me and my brother have a different relationship than me and my sister, and we always have, just because I changed my sister's diapers, I took care of her. People thought that she was mine when we'd go out in public because I was 17. I had this little baby with me, but yeah, just different relationships.
It is. It is. Oh boy.
And with us, with my sisters, we were all born 2 years apart. So all of our birthdays were either on the even years or the odd years.
Wow.
And sometimes it would be like, okay, yeah. And there was 4 of us. And I look back and go, oh, brother. And you know what? And the thing is, we shared a room. I shared a room until my 2 older sisters both left home when they got married.
Sure.
And kids these days have no concept of sharing a room.
That's true.
So many kids don't have the concept of sharing a room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are unfortunately are being a disservice or doing a disservice to our children these days, because we have a tendency to, like every other parent, right? We want our kids to be better off than we were.
Right.
Yeah.
We need them to be better off to such a drastic degree that we're taking away, in my feeling, a lot of their independence. And then, of course, they come to work and, can't do anything if nobody's telling them what to do or how to do it. And an employer gets upset because they don't have the time to sit and go through each and everything. They want you to be independent, to be a personal or a self-thinker and those kinds of things. So it's a different ball game all the way around. Yeah.
Oh, I know. The other day, a friend of mine just moved from where we live out here to Utah. So we were going to go and get the truck, the moving truck. And so he said, well, because his wife can't drive. She's my friend is legally blind. And I was like, sure, fine. He said, well, will you drive the truck? I said, sure, why not? I've driven a truck before. And so we went and got the truck. And so there was this little guy. He was an older teenager. And the manager who was helping us said, you know what, to take out to the rental truck, the dolly and 30 blankets. Okay, so there was a whole pile of 6 big piles of blankets at the front of the door. This little guy, he took the dolly out, came back, took the one bag of blankets out, took one more bag of blankets out. And I wanted to say, why didn't you just put all the blankets on the dolly to make one trip?
No clue.
No clue.
Yeah.
No clue. I just stood there and I laughed.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't close enough to it, but I watched him. It was like, why didn't he just put all the blankets on the dolly and take the dolly out?
But that's why you're going to be working with seniors, because they figured that one out.
Right. It was just the funniest thing. And I went, okay, fine. And they don't, and I'm finding that so many of the young kids, they don't know how to make change. Heaven forbid if you give them cash.
Yep. True.
They don't know how to make change.
It's very true. Because so few people use change these days.
They put a debit card for everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
And I just laughed. I thought, oh brother, what's the world coming to?
So speaking of kids, we've kind of had this trend the last few interviews in Sherry. What would you tell 17-year-old you, if you could give your 17-year-old self any kind of advice? What would you tell you?
That go with the flow, because it all works out in the end.
Yeah.
All those things that I'd get sick to my stomach about or throw up about or sleepless nights, all those things, in the end, they work out.
Isn't that funny how it just works out? It's never as bad as what you think it's going to be.
Right. The anticipation sometimes is worse than the actual fact. Yeah, absolutely. One of my things would be to celebrate the things you do right. We were
Yeah,
talking
that's so
about it
true.
this morning.
Yeah.
So many people, and I was brought up this way, you don't toot your own horn.
Well, that's because you're a woman.
And with being a woman, yeah. I mean, okay, now, Jason, okay, you're a guy.
Yeah.
Was that something that was, like for me, that was something that, nice girls don't do things like that. Nice girls don't build businesses. Nice girls don't toot their own horn. Nice girls become wives and mothers.
I think being humble is very romanticized in our culture.
Okay.
I think that that is like the commonplace of, if you hear somebody saying, I'm really good at this, a lot of times you think that they're cocky. And you even hear people say, I'm really good at this, not to be cocky or not to be arrogant,
Right.
but they got to apologize that they are really good at something.
Right.
I remember a few years ago, LeBron James said he feels like he's the greatest basketball player in the world, and people were like, "Oh my God, so much arrogance." Well, for you to step on that court, if you do not believe that you're the best player on the court, like if you're not confident in your abilities, then you have no reason, you shouldn't be on that court. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to understand where your strengths are, and really be proud of those. And a lot of times we confuse humble for what happens is we're humble so that we don't emphasize or acknowledge our strengths, and then we over acknowledge our weaknesses, and we constantly apologize for that.
True. Yeah,
exactly. What a great conversation this was.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of the things I love about having Jason as my co-host and bringing on guests. So often our conversations, they just go around so effortlessly, and we jump from subject to subject. And yet it's all about how to be better people, how to be better business owners, how to be better parents.
Yep.
And if somebody picks up, one of my things is that to pick up one thing that resonates with you and let us know.
Yes.
Let us know.
Here.
What did you get out of this? Send us some love, and put some comments below. And just because then, and if there's and for one of the things too, if you want to be a guest, let us know. And if you have a suggestion for a topic, let us know.
And anybody that's interested in chatting with me, I would be glad to chat with them. And Jason, you're going to put a calendar link in for me so that we can set up time and we can enjoy each other.
Yeah. Go and copy this right now, actually, just so I make sure I have it. And I'll put it in the Facebook comments so everybody will see it and get a chance to talk with Sherry and really see where that can go.
Sounds good. Oh, this has been terrific. Thank you both for making me feel so comfortable and drawing out those things that are important to others.
Right. And like I truly believe that sometimes by just letting the conversation go around, the things that people need to hear will come out.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you never know where people are.
So true. So true.
Awesomeness.
Awesome. Well, you ladies have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you.
Yep. And have a great week.
Absolutely. You too.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.